Well, for some reason, I just forgot to put the Red Wings news in the show. So we're going to start the show with the Red Wings news.
In a few minutes, you're going to hear us go, oh, yeah, Lucas Raymond, Mo Seider, but we'll get to that. And then we didn't.
No, I don't even know if we teased it. I will say this. I am extraordinarily frustrated by both contracts because they're very, very good contracts. Mo Seider, 23 years old. 23. Lucas Raymond, 22. Lucas Raymond got $64.6 million on an 8-year deal, and Seider got a 7-year contract worth just about $60 million. It's just over 8 for Seider, just under 8 for Lucas Raymond. Guys, just on a Leaf fan scale of hate, let's say it
does matter.
5 Kyle Dubas heads out of is our thing because he signed all the RFA deals, and I feel bad for Kyle. It's not exactly his fault, but it's partially his fault. How many Kyle Dubas heads out of 5 do you give this on the hate scale?
6, because I don't understand the scale.
The scale 5, I hate it.
You also said it weird. You said under 8 and over 8.
Yeah, because Lucas Raymond's like, what is it, 6 or 7?
No, they're both over 8.
Raymond's 8.775. Yeah, 8.075.
Not Seider. Raymond.
Raymond is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And then Seider's
I can't divide.
8.5.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, how much do you hate it?
A lot. I mean, which means they're incredible deals for Detroit.
Yes.
Raymond, I mean, he's still, like, he's an extraordinary player, but he has to grow into the deal.
Yeah.
Like,
you're making a bet.
Yeah, he hasn't performed like an $8 million player yet.
72 points last year, though.
Yeah, okay, so maybe last year was the first one where you go, maybe like Tim Stützle, when he signed his contract, we all were like, yeah, he's going to grow into that. I think it's the same for Lucas Raymond. He's going to grow into that. Mo Seider, I don't know.
What are we doing here?
How did he? Yeah.
Like, there's no reason, no justification for Mo Seider to be making less than, for some reason, the name I keep going with is Charlie McAvoy.
Yep.
If you look at McAvoy when he signed his contract, which was years ago.
Was he an RFA?
He was an RFA. Roughly the same age. If you look at his accomplishments heading into RFA and Mo Seider is huge. He is a right-handed shot. He will friggin' kill you. He can score like goals and set up points. He's attached to Ben Sherratt. And he's still performing the way he's performing. He has played 3 consecutive 82-game seasons to start his career. Mm-hmm. There's like, they didn't want to pay a player more than Dylan Larkin, who makes $8.7 million. There's, looking at comparables around the league, there's no rational numbers-wise reason that Mo Seider should be making less than Dylan Larkin.
But he's an RFA.
On this contract.
But
he's an RFA, and he didn't get the full 8 years. So there's one additional UFA year you're not buying.
But the RFA thing, like, even if you're an RFA, you should get more than this at this moment in his career. And the hate scale, I like it, Adam, because yeah, as every other, the 31 fan bases should hate this deal in the negotiation that Yzerman has conducted here. I don't know what information he has on Mo Seider to get him to sign this contract, but it makes no sense for this talent to get this little money.
You know who should hate it? Every right-handed defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah, the comparisons. There aren't 12 defensemen in this NHL league that are better than Mo Seider, but there's 12 of them that have bigger.
Are gonna be.
There's 12 of them right now who have bigger contracts than him, and that includes Zach Werenski at 9.5.
Nope.
On that list is Darnell Nurse at 9.25. Nope. Cale Makars makes 9.
Okay, that's Cale.
That's Cale. Petro makes 8.8.
Okay.
Dougie Hamilton makes 9.
Okay.
Adam Fox is 9.5. Seth Jones is 9.5. Drew Doughty's 11. Darlene is 11. Carlson's 11.5. And that Darlene number, I think, is very important. 11, it begins this year. It was signed a year ago. That's a guy who's 1 year older. Hasn't played even close to a prominent role as Moritz Seider, who's been on more competitive teams in a bigger role, I would say, since his rookie year. You probably equal, if anything. Like if we want to thread needles here, and he got 11.
even if you think,
And the other guy
Seider-
got an 8.5.
even if you think Seider is a step behind Dahlin, do you want to see why they should be making the same amount of money? Here, wait. Right-handed.
They were both RFAs at the time. Both expire in UFA time. It's way too little money for this talent.
Listen, we've been talking smack about Steve Yzerman. He straight up hasn't done a very good job at a lot of things.
Justin Hall, Ben Sherratt.
Yeah.
8 goalies on the roster.
Jake Wellman.
All signed to NHL deals.
I mean, if you think Petrie, Hall, and Sherratt are all overpaid by millions of dollars, don't worry. You just got all that in savings with Mo Seider.
I think
In a few years, that's going to be one of the better contracts in the league if he keeps getting better.
Mo Seider walked so Ben Sherratt could run when it comes to those contracts. Like, the reason Mo's not making that is it's just not available.
No, Mo Seider walked so Ben Sherratt could still walk.
It's crazy. I look at it and I go, I look at this and think, okay, obviously these guys want to play hockey. Obviously it starts to really suck, especially now for an RFA when contract isn't done. This is when it sucks. But I am just blown away that they got him for 7 years on that. Lucas Raymond, that deal makes complete sense. That is a great
That's
in
a
the
fair
range.
deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
great deal. Mo Seider for me is a head scratcher on Mo Seider's.
At this term per year AAV, it should have been 6.
I think
max.
so. I think so.
Max
6 years?
Max years 6. I don't know why you give them the 7th year at this AAV. I
might even go 5.
I was about to say I would even look at this as if it was 5 times 8, 5. Like, yeah, that's such a discount.
Yeah.
Only 5.
Now,
Man, it's a really, really good deal for
Never in Toronto.
yeah.
Never. No, of course not. Why would you? Why would a good thing ever happen?
Man, I want to say Claude Lemieux, his agent, had signed some monster deals recently. The one I'm looking at specifically, Timo Meier with the Devils. It's not like Claude Lemieux some slouch. Hampus Lindholm, everybody was like, oh, that's a lot of money for Hampus Lindholm when he re-signed with Boston, and it's a fucking steal at this point.
This isn't the first time Claude Lemieux's got his ass kicked by Detroit.
Gonna start the show there?
Yeah, let's start the show.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
And the reason that I held my agent provocateur mug up,
Kevin Gates the vote.
Ah, got it.
and my agent provocateur mug is up because there's a new AP out.
Yay!
Yay! And I actually thought it was great because it was beautiful. We had a mixture of Alan's story time, which I always love. It's his 30th year as an agent in the NHL.
Damn.
And Jesse and I got to find out not only who his first contract was like that he signed, and who the first general manager was.
Who wants it? Spoil it.
Well, I'll spoil it. I think we should spoil it.
Good.
Right, Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's former Leafs assistant Dean Chenoth.
Oh, the guy who someone thought was you?
Yeah.
Having lunch with Austin Matthews?
No wonder Alan likes me. He thought I was Dean too.
Yes.
Like, I've been doing the show with Dean for 4 years. And
We also called Chenoweth for like 2
Yeah.
weeks.
2 years.
You got to pick one though.
Yeah.
I said that in a Leaf video that I have coming out. I'm like, Grabankin. We'll find out soon. Because no one's really just come out and said it.
Kampf?
It took a while.
Yeah. Who is this David Camp?
I asked the fucking guy, and he said his name was Kolemin.
And then I also found out that his first the contract was with the Boston Bruins in the mid '90s. That meant that legendary Bruins general manager and 1972 Team Canada head coach Harry Sinden
Wow.
was the guy he did the deal with, which is pretty neat. And there's some really cool stuff in there. And there's a guy named Big Dan who messaged me in June. And Big Dan said, hey, I got a question for you guys. And the question actually went into how the show...
Have you seen Little Dan?
No, have not seen Little Dan. Just Big Dan has reached out. And I meant to ask this in June, but I finally got this on here, and I wanted to give Big Dan a bit of a shout out because he's decided to go to law school. He's in law school right now, first semester, at Toronto Metropolitan University. Your alma mater, Steve and Jesse.
Yes.
And I guess technically mine too.
No, it's got to be, you got to graduate.
Oh, you got to graduate? Okay.
Yeah.
I went there. I've been inside.
There you go.
You can't
Anyway.
be a quitter Baylor.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, he's becoming a lawyer because of agent provocateur
wow.
and wants
Wow.
to be an agent.
I love that a lot.
Isn't that cool?
That's great.
I thought that was neat. So he asked a really good question, so we're going to get to all that. So I just thought, like, damn, that's really neat.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me listen to the damn show, though.
No.
I got a lot of catching up to do.
Big Dan actually started a Twitter account. He started yelling about the salary cap recently. It was
Yeah.
really weird.
It's called Triple Hard Fuck This. Triple Hard Cap.
Yeah, no.
Get it?
No, I like it.
It was just really aggressive.
Oh, sorry. Was it
just
too
like-
much?
All right, Jesse.
Too much for this early? Is that
I
what
don't
it is?
know.
Put that on a notebook. Triple hard fuck.
Steve has the LFR notebook that you can find in the stpnshop.ca and the STPN
Oh,
shop.
no, you have to lift it up. Lift it up.
Steve's
Oh.
very excited about it. Yeah, you couldn't see it.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I didn't realize that you couldn't see.
What do you, if you were to review this is like Amazon reviews, in the comments, what are you going to
Unbox it.
What would you say?
Man, I tried to write things down in it, and my pen exploded. It slipped right out of my hand and exploded. So 0 out of 10.
What?
No, it's great.
You could have sold that like I wrote stuff down and my takes got better.
Oh shit.
You should have said that.
Okay, here, wait. Okay.
No,
No. Okay,
It didn't
here.
happen.
Hard
It didn't
cam.
happen. It didn't happen.
Hard cam. I wrote things down, and my takes got better. There you go. How's
You're
that?
also wearing a noted Alan Walsh client t-shirt,
Yeah.
which
I
is
sure
very
am.
nice. Yeah.
I'm a merch guy.
Which means your legal takes got better too.
Yeah, and also I said triple hard cap. Fuck this.
Jesse, I sent you a video. And this quote was making the rounds, and it has a lot to do with what we talked about on the show. And it's so funny, it seemed like everybody that covers the Leafs at least had the same idea at the same time. Hey, you're trying Nylander at center. Marner played center a lot too, and apparently it was at one point the plan to have him be a center too.
Yeah, he
But-
split it with Christian Dvorak in junior.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have.
Anyway, so this is Nylander's take.
I specifically said on last show, why won't CJ or Mark Masters or anybody down there ask Willie the damn question about why he wasn't center? And then it happened. So here we go.
I think that I told Chief that, the most important thing is I can't just play one game if you want to try center. So, we agree on that and give it a go, and hopefully it goes well.
Why do you think the experiment didn't last very long at last camp? It seemed like you were...
What, did I play one game?
Two, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to ask my old coach about that.
That is such a Willie answer.
Man, it's not though, because it's interesting. Willie is we know he's fun.
No,
but he's a boring quote.
But
No.
he's gotten a little better.
This is the guy that went on Swedish television in a tank top.
Oh, I know.
Pat
Oh, yeah.
McAfee, and just was just half in the bag and just having fun.
No, Willie likes sprinkling a little on it and then giving a little Mona Lisa smile.
Yeah.
Because he knows he said something.
Yeah, he does. He does. Well, so by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, he said I told Chief. Chief is Craig Berube's
Yeah.
nickname. Just for anybody that doesn't know, so if we say Chief during the year now, this is a new coach.
Oh, no, a lot of Leaf fans are like, pardon?
Who's Chief?
Who is that?
So anyway, long story short, I think with Nylander there, he says what we all kind of thought, which is you kind of need to try this and make it work. And it can't be a couple of weeks. It can't even really be a couple of months, right, guys?
It's got to... The date I threw out last show was at least Halloween. At least Halloween. Halloween, I think, is if it's going mediocre. Like, you keep going. If it's going dreadfully, like it's obvious, okay, he can't do this. All right, maybe bail then. I'm thinking, I'm going to go American Thanksgiving.
That's the end of November. Jesse, thoughts?
Got to go to at least that.
Yeah, that's what we've been asking for. It's you don't just try these things all willy nilly. You mentioned a million times.
Hey,
Hey,
holy.
on purpose. Look at that one.
Friday's on
Let's
fire.
go.
You don't-
play the extra.
You don't try it randomly on an elimination day in a bubble playoffs. Just throw them at center. You don't try it for 2 weeks at training camp and then abandon it 2 preseason games in. You give it some length. You see if it actually works. And I'm excited to see it now just take place.
Sheldon Keefe, I just got here when it came to the 2020 playoffs. I think it was a combination of I just got here, and also it was COVID and it just wasn't a priority. Why weren't we all louder about, hey, why the fuck did you do that? It's game 5, which is essentially game 7. you decide to play Andreas Janssen for his first game in 6 months? More?
And he's still clearly injured.
All right.
Yeah. Not
But we
good.
need to get him his last game as in a Leaf future.
And Willie's going to play his first game at center of the season? Who told you to do that?
By the way, wasn't that the rationale for dressing Andreas Janssen? It's like, this might be his last game.
I don't give a shit.
Well, I remember, I'm going to talk to CJ about that because there was something to that.
And it
wasn't. Yeah, it was
did
his
end up
last
being.
game.
But like Robertson, so it's funny. Robertson played the first 6 games against the Bruins, and then he was sat in Game 7. That was more justifiable this year because he went zeros across the board than it was in 2020 when he actually had the team's last 5-on-5 goal, which came in Game 3 of that 5-game series. The team sucked.
I think it's fun to have a new coach in there because we're going to see new things with the Leafs. There's probably going to be some growing pains. I don't know if they're going to get off to the hottest start here, but having Willie play center, and I think JT will technically be 3 or 2C, but they're not going to move JT to the wing and mess it up. It's going to actually be 3 dominant quote centers, so if Willie can live up to expectations, and I'm excited to see it. It's going to be fun.
I got a lot of shit from Habs fans on the last episode.
You deserved it.
Because I said...
Wait, what'd you say?
I said, well, they're like, you could clearly tell that they don't watch Montreal hockey because Max Pacioretty being fast is laughable. And I'm like, bro, I was comparing him to James Van Riemsdyk. Like, are you kidding me?
And we've had this conversation, though. I think the floor for James Van Riemsdyk as an NHL player is higher than Max Pacioretty's floor.
Sure.
I think Max Pacioretty's ceiling is higher
higher
than JVR's ceiling.
And is Max Pacioretty probably faster than Tavares? Yeah. That's what the lineup needs.
But it's not a given. He could be the slowest player on the team because his legs are busted.
Right.
Right? Or he's friggin' flying out there, but as there's only been 1 practice so far, I don't friggin' know.
Hard to tell.
Yes.
Now the lines.
Wait till the game starts.
The lines were interesting. Obviously, we got our first look at the Toronto Maple Leafs lines in practice. And again, don't put too much into these because there are some notable omissions. So Nyes, Matthews, Marner.
That was pretty obvious. Yep.
Domi, Nylander, Yarncroc.
Not nearly as obvious.
Now I thought they'd go full we and put Robertson up in Yarncroc's spot. But I think Yarncroc, first off, he can play there. Second, he's the defensively responsible one, I think, more than the other two.
I don't
That fair?
I don't love this line. Yes, he's the designated babysitter on that line. I don't love it. Less because of Nylander and more because I think those players should be playing opposite wings.
Mm-hmm. Steve, what do you think about Max's defense?
It's awful. It's terrible. But incredibly dynamic offensive player. Like I actually watched a bunch of video on Max yesterday ahead of another Leafs video that I shot for my channel, and that should be coming out, I don't know, soon. Just he like, where does he generate offense from? Like what I was trying to figure out is, does he generate more offense from the right side than the left?
When he's playing wing.
Yeah, when he's playing wing. Because when he's playing at all, right? Because things happen throughout the game and you got to change where you are and whatever. He's all over the place. He can generate from anywhere. So, like, it could work out there. It's just he was so successful on the right wing. He played on the right wing of Austin Matthews and did pretty damn well.
Well, I'd say he was most successful as a centerman. I feel like that's where he's most comfortable. Yeah.
He was least successful as a left wing.
Right.
So
Really?
I don't love that. But
I mean, they did
could work
at center. I guess it's a little unfair because my vision of Domi at center, Jesse, is whatever that weird third line they had him on to start the year last year.
Oh,
yeah, no,
he went 11
him
straight with
not
9 points.
to erase the first 3 months of Domi's tenure. Like,
Yeah.
that was irrelevant. I feel like towards the end when he was playing a bit of center, like because he's such a pass first player. Like he's never looking to score himself. It worked out when he was in the middle.
and they put his left shot on the left of 2 righties, which I think he could potentially feast on. That could be a lot of fun. Go to the net. If you're on that line, go to the net. It could be fun, but I think it is the least likelihood of sticking together.
Line 3, McMahon, Tavares, they had some really good chemistry last year.
they did.
And Nicholas Robertson. And Steve, you were talking about your season preview video. When does that come out?
I think today.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
But you were saying that maybe we focused a little too much on the left side, and we maybe should have focused on both sides because they're a little weak. But that players like a Nick Robertson can play both sides.
I mean, Domi, we didn't consider in the conversation. Robertson can play both sides. I do find it funny that we were talking about, the opportunity at left wing is there, Robbie. And then day one of camp, and he's on the right. But what an opportunity. Like, all he wants is an opportunity, and he's on the wing of John Tavares.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, that'll do. That should be okay. Don't look at it as third line. Like, these are just different looks.
Right.
These are just different looks, and Robertson got a bunch of his points last year with Tavares. He got a bunch of his points with Domi, so there could be a switch there. I don't know how much he played with McMahon. Good for him. Really, really, really good opportunity. If anyone is taken off of that line, I think it's him. And McMahon and Tavares, I think, is going to be a pairing that they try to stick to.
So a couple other notable things, because I'm going to leave the fourth lines. We still don't, they're all kind of all over the place.
I did want to mention one thing.
What, Lorenz Camp Reeves?
Well, Lorenz Camp Reeves, I saw that, and I'm like, oh, like Lorenz's chances of making the team skyrocketed, and then he got friggin' hurt. So, real bummer for him.
It's just day to day, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's still being injured in training camp is so much more detrimental when you're on a PTO and you're chasing a spot.
Yes. Yeah. And today he's being replaced by Roni Hirvonen and not Pontus Holmberg, which I thought was odd. So it seems like they're committed to Holmberg at center.
We still don't know if Benoit McCabe will be back together, although they were a great force on the second pair last year when they got things going. Benoit's wife had a baby.
Today he was on the ice with Liljegren.
Oh, okay. Yep. There you go. The reporters asked him actually earlier this morning, like, what are you going to name the baby? And they're like, we haven't decided yet. So,
really?
Yeah, that's what he says. So, I mean, listen, he's probably just being like, I'm not telling you shit. Kid's not even 24 hours old. Like, go away. But the one I thought was interesting. So we obviously have Riley Tanev. I think that was obvious. Ekman, Larson, McCabe.
Yep. I am interested by it.
I am interested by it too, because I don't. The drawback of a McCabe Benoit thing is neither of them are like world beaters when it comes to handling the puck. And McCabe is tough.
They're the Bash brothers.
Yeah, and you can put them together if you need a Bash line, but you ideally, the reason they signed Klingberg last year, which was not great, and they got out of it, is they needed more puck movement on the back end. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is supposed to solve that. Kind of makes sense to put them together.
Yeah, of course it does. And Liljegren can move the puck. I still don't understand. Like, okay, Yanni Hakanpää's not skating right now.
Yeah.
But I look at that group and I go, he's first out. He might be first out. It's not a given. You could split up McCabe and Ekman-Larsson, put all the lefties on the left, and have Liljegren and Hakanpää there take out Benoit. Could be part of the plan, but man, $3 million sitting on the sideline. I'm not a huge fan of that prospect.
Right.
Could happen.
Cade Weber slotted in next to Timothy Liljegren yesterday. He had an impressive rookie camp, but I feel like with Cade Weber, guys, it might just make a lot of sense to put him in the AHL on the top line, and then as like a top line defender, and then see what he does. And if you need him midway through the season, you can call him up.
Today, he was slotted with Nicholas Mottinen, who they just dragged out of Europe after drafting him and then letting his rights expire. One thing, when I was looking at those lines, I think the Marlies could be really good.
Yeah?
Their decor is as good as I've seen it since they won the Calder Cup in 2018, which meant something to me. Like Dakota Mermis, Philippe Myers, if both clear waivers, that could be your top pair. Rafai, Villeneuve, Kokkonen, Niemela, Chadwick is going to be playing his first pro hockey this year, and then to have Weber and Mottinen, like that's
a pretty competitive. Like some of those guys are going to the Cyclones.
Puck moving, outside of Niemela, huge. that could be a really not fun decor to play against.
Mattinen, by the way, who you said they did drag him out. He's 26 now. Was in the DEL last year, and he had 46 points in 52 games.
And
Pretty good.
Who on his team had more points than him? Go ahead.
From the Straubling Tigers, nobody.
Nobody.
Mike Connolly, who is not a draft pick of anybody, I don't think, but he did play 2 games for the Avalanche. At one point, had 45 points.
I love going through just random European hockey DBs and being like, hey,
that guy played.
I know that guy.
That guy played. Yeah.
Yeah, no, big right-handed defenseman who can score. Yeah, no, anyone's going to want to take a chance on that.
Right. So, I mean, listen, it was a relatively, with the exception of the Lorentz injury and Benoit not being there, relatively sort of normal start. And it was just interesting to see the Leafs on the ice. Like once, I think it was Mark Masters that posted a video. It's like, first practice is underway, or it was David Alter, one of the guys. And it's like, there's...
Yeah,
they all probably did. Yeah.
For being honest, they all probably took the same photo and posted it.
It's like some way far back picture with like, and here they are.
I wonder if one of them, and I'm going to ask, we'll have to ask David this, like, okay, if one of you reaches for your phone and starts to take a picture, do all of you do it? And you know what I mean? Because human beings do that. Shit. You know what? I should tweet this. It was cool to see Greg Berube out there. Like a whole new era.
It's, I spent so much time focusing on the roster. I almost went, that guy. You know, it's that friggin' time of year. We've been going through all the rosters. I was like, when did Alec Martinez join the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
It's just, it's
King's great.
Yes,
Vegas
legend, Vegas legend.
No,
But he won the King's
great.
Playoff legend.
Yeah, King's great.
Yeah. Then I guess the last thing I want to say is Max Pacioretty is in fact wearing 67.
Yeah, as he should.
Good, he should.
I think he should.
That does it mean anything?
No.
Every year, a Leaf should have to wear 67 so they feel bad.
He said, I hope it's a good luck charm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
with
so.
a 67 on the team. That makes more sense than like, avoid the magic spooky number. Like, what the fuck? Grow up. Grow up, people.
He's not even the first Leaf to, like, Leafs have worn it in recent memory. Brandon Kozin, I think, was the last. Robert Svela.
Oh, yeah. I liked Robert Svela. Why did he have to?
Who didn't like Robert Svela?
He was really good. And then he was like, I just don't feel like playing in North America.
Nah. Yeah, whatever. Play good hockey. I don't care what number you wear.
Okay.
You wear 69, 99.
You do care, though, if it's in the jersey number.
I do.
Or if it's in the salary number.
Well, if he signs for 6.7 mil, I'll be upset.
So I want to say that I asked Alan about that yesterday. And that's one I will not blow. But I said, Steve has a hatred of this. What do you think?
I don't think his clients do it, do they?
You'll have to just
you son of a...
have to watch the episode of it.
So you're telling me he's going to sign for $967,000?
I have no idea what Max Pacioretty is going to sign for.
I'm
not an insider.
1.967. It was a ruse from the former Habs captain all along.
I like that. I like that a lot. This episode is brought to you in part by BetterHelp. Hey, have you ever had your heart broken by a team year after year after year?
These ads are getting very targeted.
You know it's a good ad. You know it's a good ad when it hits you right in the chest.
Yeah. You think it's targeted to you? This guy's sitting next to me.
That should hit you in the chest like a Game 7 loss by 1 goal. Maybe from behind.
Adam, get to the point.
All I'm saying is people might have suggested that you need therapy. And if you do,
Oh.
BetterHelp is the place for you. BetterHelp actually is really great because you can get matched with a therapist in 48 hours or less. So when that Game 7 loss happens, bang, a couple days later, while it's still fresh, you can be matched with a therapist. And you can also text with them. You can type with them. You can do a phone call. You can do a video call. Whatever works for you, BetterHelp is there. And we want you to give their promo code a little bit of a shot. Excuse me, our promo code with them. We can give you 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com. Go to BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp.com. The promo code is 3 simple letters. SDP. Again, it's SDP. BetterHelp.com. If you had your heart broken multiple times and you need to talk about it, give it a shot. Obviously, the Rogers buyout thing of the Leafs, we're not going to spend...
Are you moving on from the players?
Did you have something
We
else?
didn't get to Mitch Marner. who made he made the biggest news of training camp.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I disagree.
I don't know if it's the biggest news.
I thought it was Willie, but yeah,
Okay,
sure.
go ahead. Play it.
Willie's quote, yeah, for sure. But Mitch, Maddie, what's up?
Still of him.
That is a horrible
bad
still.
pause. Yeah.
Attaboy, Jesse.
So Marner started off his first training camp avail
That's a bit
by saying this.
Hey everyone, good to see you all again. Hope your summer's good. Obviously know there's gonna be some contract questions, but not here to talk about that. You know, like I said in the captaincy media availability, very happy to be in Maple Leaf. You know, it's unbelievable privilege, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the season and getting going.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
I don't blame him. It's going to be a pain in his ass until this thing's wrapped up.
You seem stoked.
I
don't know, man.
So I was listening to the CJ show yesterday, and I thought he had the most interesting perspective on it because he was in the room for this, and he sat down, and Mitch did this, and he was like, okay, it started off a little contentious, obviously. You know, you come out right away and you say this. But
It's just very stiff.
Yeah, it was very, but then by the end of it, he warmed up and answered all the questions, and everything was fun from that point on. It's just, you couldn't ask anything about the contract.
Sometimes you got to set boundaries.
That's okay. Like
okay.
I don't have a problem with that. Like
I said, he could have Steven Stamkos'd it.
yes, which is not great. Like these guys are all obviously very trained. Marner said this. Tavares said this. Robertson said something very similar. He's like, nope, I'm not here to blah, blah, blah. And I respect and understand that. I wouldn't want to talk about it.
No.
I totally understand.
One thing that did come up from that too is that apparently in a Luke Fox one-on-one, there is an admission from Marner that his camp is, or his agent will be, open to negotiating the contract throughout the year. And a lot of players don't do this, or they say they don't do it. They might just be like, okay, Mr. Agent, you go ahead and do it. Don't tell me about it. Because you don't want to be distracted. And I get that. I don't believe that. I don't believe a lot of players that are like, we're not negotiating in season, actually don't. Because if somebody comes to you and goes, we'll give you a infinity $1 billion, you're going to be open to negotiating.
No, I'm a man of principle.
Yeah, like
Click.
you are. You're going to be open to it.
Yeah.
So I think
They were using an old phone.
I think that's interesting enough. And Jesse in one of our group chats is like, well, he wants to stay here, so that's not that surprising.
I didn't think.
Didn't you say that?
No, that wasn't me.
Well, somebody else said it. Anyway, I thought it was you that said it. But the reality of it is,
Maybe.
If they do kind of talk throughout the year, I get the sense that this time versus what was going on last time, when you have essentially a sophomore/rookie general manager in Kyle Dubas, I think that this negotiation might go different. You know, last time, if you remember, the negotiation really started the day that Austin Matthews' extension was announced, because Mitch Marner's agent went to the Toronto Star and shot off about how it was a bad contract and Mitch was going to get his money and whatever. That was not well received by the fans, and it continued. That was like early January. It continued all the way to 2 days before training camp when he signed, and fans were pissed. And they, to be honest,
then he started poorly.
Fans to this day have not forgotten it. A lot of fans have been like, didn't like that, didn't appreciate that. And it's not because you don't want Mitch to get paid. Good luck, go get your money. But it was this whole cat and mouse thing where there seemed to be we're going to go. You have reporters going, unironically telling you that, well, they're open to playing in Zurich. Like, where, a team that literally cannot afford it. And so I think this time, what this has signaled to me is, this is Mitch sitting down in front of the media going, I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about the season. And then he tells Luke Fox, we'll be open to negotiating throughout the year. It's signaling to me this is not going to be done through the media this time, which I think is better for team and player.
So this is a
I'm
quote.
going to hold you to that.
Jonah, yeah.
I could be completely wrong on that, but that's what I believe. That is what
Because the history of his agent is negotiating through the media.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
So from Jonas Siegel, to maintain the integrity of ongoing negotiations, this is from Darren Ferris, it is essential that these discussions remain confidential and are conducted in a constructive manner. As such, we will not be providing public updates on their status at this time. This isn't a Mitch thing. This is very much a Darren Ferris thing. He doesn't conduct himself this way with any of his clients. any of them. They all hold out. They all were going to go play in Europe. He was Broberg's agent when he requested a trade, but then didn't. Remember that last season? You got to have a long memory for these things. Another big issue with that Marner contract is it was friggin' huge, and there were a lot of pending RFAs of future stars at the time. And what we said in 2019, again, yes, it's 2024. You got to remember the context of the time. We're like, okay, but watch, these guys are going to sign for similar numbers. And then they friggin' didn't.
No.
Mikko Rantanen was the big one.
Yep.
He was the name where it's like, watch, he's going to sign for in and around Marner. And he signed for, I think it was 9? Something like that. Who's been better over the last 5 years?
Right.
Regular season and playoffs. It's not close.
One of them has a cup.
Yeah.
It's not particularly close. It hasn't gone well. It doesn't, Mitch is this consistent 100 point. When? He hasn't hit 100.
Yeah, but he's at 90.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Come on.
I don't give a damn. You got to hit 100. So listen, all of these things are just context, right? That being said about Mitch, I've said it on the show and I'll say it again. I think he's gunning for Dougie's record. Dude, it's a contract year and he's playing with Austin Matthews. Dougie's record is 127 points. Over the last 2 seasons, guys have regularly been cracking 120. The biggest scorers in the league. I think he could do it.
I think he can. I think no question. I do think, like I said, I think he's your A1 fantasy pick. This guy, assuming no injuries.
Depending on how your pool weights points, like if goals are worth more than assists, then you probably don't pick him.
Mm-hmm.
If goals are worth the same as points, he might be the first Leaf you pick. Seriously.
It appears today, by the way, they're taking, there's from yesterday, it appears Morgan Riley will be sharing, Marner and Riley will be sharing assistant captain duties this year, and Tavares will be the full-time assistant. Because you remember how Matthews and Marner split it for the last 4 or 5 years?
That tracks.
So
yeah,
they're all leaders.
Steve, just
so.
on the contract thing, you go down the list of the guys who still make less than Mitch Marner from when he signed that contract. And it's like, okay, Eichel signed his deal 7 years ago. It was less than Mitch Marner's. It's the Sagan deal was less than Marner's. Aho signed this past season. It's less than Marner's.
It's wildly less than Marner.
Yeah, it's 975. Even like,
oh, I thought you meant the offer sheet one that he signed.
oh, the one before. No, I'm talking
They're
about
both less.
The most recent one is still $1 million less than Marner. So yeah, that contract, it wasn't precedent setting at all amongst the big name players, and we all thought it would be with the cap going up and everything. It's never turned out that way.
It was twofold. The cap was going up at the time, but players like Rantanen, who was due at the same time, did not follow suit. Then the world stopped, and the cap stayed flat. And the Leafs were boned and didn't adjust. And April jar. Here you go.
And even if you compare it to the contracts that some RFAs have signed recently, like if we go 2 days ago and Lucas Raymond signing for 8 something, like that's in comparison for where, okay, we're an upstart RFA who's going to be a star one day. Getting 8 in this climate is still fantastic. And back then, signing it for 10-9. It just, the more history goes on, is the context of that contract, it just appears more and more crazy.
Well, 10-9 when Austin Matthews was scoring 40 every single season and making 11-6-3-4. What? Pardon? No, you're not that close. Anyway, sorry. This is all, again, it is relevant for the time, but he's going to turn the page, play the best hockey.
I like that we don't have to talk about this all the time. Like, I really do. Like, it is, because what it does become is, it is cat and mouse, and that's the way they played it last time, and I really did not enjoy that. Even that, I didn't enjoy the Nylander saga.
No, that was terrible.
It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
I really didn't enjoy the Marner one, and it's not because of Mitch. And so because I, at the end of the day, you just want to watch these guys play hockey because you're a fan, and like I do love this player. My daughter's first jersey was a Mitch Marner jersey, right? Like I think that's where I want it to go, and I do think when Morgan Riley says, and you guys will laugh, it's if we don't win the Stanley Cup this year, or if we don't get to the finals this year, and this is what he said yesterday. we have to look at this season as a failure. That is what I want them to be looking at. That is what I want to be talking about. That's the kind of, I don't want to talk about April. I want to talk about May. I want to talk about June.
Yes.
And
For the first time.
And we have talked about July.
Hey, ho.
You get it? That was dark.
Yeah, so we had that quote on Wednesday, but we didn't have the audio, so I feel like it was important to expand on it. Yeah, so play it. And CJ said the same thing about the negotiations now moving forward. He shut it down. We're not going to have a conversation about it. So as soon as the Leafs get rolling, and as long as they're at the bar that everybody expects them to be during the regular season, we're probably going to not talk about it as much. Just like how the Willie negotiations were just fine. Everything went along. He dominated. So then it became a topic of conversation of like, you need to get him signed, because he's so good. But it was kind of level. It wasn't contentious.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can reach that point
Or
with Marner.
if it was contentious, we didn't hear about it.
Exactly.
This was annoying about the last time. Hey, I'm blocking out the noise. And all his agent did was bang pots and pans together and make so much friggin' noise. This time around, it's nice.
It's better for everybody.
It's better for everyone, especially Mitch. Let's keep it this way.
And let the guy play. Blow the doors off. Make them pay you a fortune. I mean, if Marner goes out and
wins the Hart Trophy.
Wins the Hart Trophy. Wins the Selke, because remember, Gilmore couldn't win the Hart. It had to go to Gretzky.
He got nominated.
Yeah, but he got
Mitch
secondary
got
Hart, which
nominated.
he got Selke, didn't he?
Yeah. No. Gilmore
got a
won
Hart?
the Selke, but Mitch was nominated.
Oh, Mitch was nominated.
Which year?
No, he was nominated for the Selke.
2
years
What
ago.
are you talking about? Hart?
Yeah.
No, dude,
I was
a
talking
Leaf-
about Gilmore,
A Leaf
but
has
anyway.
been
Okay.
nominated for the Selke.
I was confused.
Each of the last 2 seasons, no one gives a shit because of how it's ended up.
Okay.
Yeah. My point is, like, if make them go pay you $100 million, man. I'm great with that. Like, go do it. That's awesome, because that means you'll be doing that for my team, and I like that. Now, one thing I wanted to correct I was talking a lot about the corporate governance shit with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment last episode. I thought it was important for context, but one spot I really got wrong, which doesn't throw the story at all. I was still on with the rest of it, is the BCE debt, Bell Communications. So when they sell for $4.7 billion, you're like, wow, that's a company that just had an influx of $4.7 billion in cash. And I thought a company like Bell was running regular debt.
Well, there was a meme that I sent you where it's like, oh, they have all these TV properties and $4.7 billion. They could like expand, buy an NHL team, throw all their games on, but it's not that easy.
But they can't. Everybody's like, well, they're just going to go and use it to buy the national rights. No, they're not, because the national rights will be more than $5 billion. And it'll be a 10-year contract or a 12-year contract like it was last time. And beyond all that, and this is the key, Bell BCE is worth $32 billion.
That's a lot of money.
$32 billion. That's a big company, right?
32 is a big number.
Their
Less
debt.
than SDPN.
Yeah, I mean,
Take
like
that.
Listen, we don't need
Alexander Graham Bell.
we don't need to brag. Like, we don't want to brag. I don't want to make them look small and bad. But yeah, $32 billion is their approximate value. Their company debt is $40 billion.
Oh, 40 is bigger than 32.
Yes. Now, that's not unheard of for companies to be leveraged beyond their value for certain periods of time. But this is a company that's trying to change itself from a telecommunications giant to a tech giant. And I don't know how. So that's what they're saying. Nobody's quite sure how that works. And there's been in the news, earlier this year, they were going to lay off 5,000 people. It's starting to make a lot of sense why this happened. You're laying off a bunch of people. You have this great asset that you've made a ton of money on. You've quadrupled your value. Sell it and try to pay down some of your debt. But what's crazy about that is even if they took that $4.7 billion payment, subject to governance, it's not fully approved yet, and then they put it against their debt, they'd still owe $35 billion.
So it's just poof.
It could be poof.
Imagine getting $4.7 billion and it's just poof.
Well,
It's just
I
gone.
think they've got a lot of work to do. Anyway, I just wanted to correct that about the story. A lot of you reached out and were very kind about that, because I think some people care and some people don't. But let's get back to the hockey. I wanted to read you this quote about Easton Cowan. And this is Easton Cowan on how growing up on a farm has shaped him as a player. I love quotes like this. Josh Chloe did a great piece for The Athletic. He went to Easton Cowan's family's house.
God, hockey loves a story like
Yeah.
that.
Now, he said, you can always be tough in different ways. People talk about hockey being physical, but having a good mental game is huge. With farming, there are going to be times when equipment breaks down and my dad is going to have to improvise. You've got to stay in the moment and just keep going. And on the ice, I have to be just as relentless. Keep going. Even when the puck is bouncing on me, I've got to keep working hard. And I've always believed that when you work hard, good things will come. Now, great quote. Mm-hmm. You know, you just be like, yeah, I freaking love this kid. The guy, you know, I forgot this, but didn't Wendell Clark grow up on a farm in Saskatchewan?
I believe he did, yes.
So
the next Wendell.
Could it be?
There he is. You know what? We got to go full circle, switch him to defense.
Oh, because Wendell was the defenseman.
They drafted him first overall as a defenseman and was like, nah, you're a forward. Nah.
Yeah.
You're a forward. Imagine that happened now. The Sabres just took Rasmus Dahlin and went, nah, go up the middle.
Wendell grew up on a farm in Kelvington, Saskatchewan. The first chapter of his book, growing up in Kelvington, says you can't get much more small town or rural than Kelvington, Saskatchewan.
That's not true. You know what I know about Kelvington?
What?
It's where Wendell Clark's from. That's about it.
All right, Dad.
I thought it was very funny. I lolled. I knee slapped. Shut up.
Interestingly, I didn't know this, but this popped up on my TikTok. Craig Simpson of hockey broadcasting fame,
yes.
Also Edmonton Oilers Stanley Cup winner, and very high draft pick.
Yeah.
Second overall pick in the 1985 draft.
I did not know that.
Second overall to Wendell Clark.
Yep.
Now, what's interesting about Craig Simpson is you go, okay, wait a second. He was playing at Michigan State University. He had 84 points in 42 games. Wendell Clark was playing for the Blades. He had, as a defenseman, 87 points in 64 games.
Love that.
But you go, why did the Leafs pick Wendell over Craig? Apparently, and I would love to ask Craig Simpson about this, there was a guy named Craig Redmond. Have you heard of Craig Redmond?
No, I have not.
So Craig Redmond apparently was a high round draft pick. Number 6 overall in 1984 to the Los Angeles Kings. Toronto really wanted Craig Redmond, and Craig Redmond said, no thanks. Because Toronto was a dysfunctional, shitty organization at that point. It had good people working for it, but the owner was horrible and everybody hated him.
They didn't get the first overall pick that year by being crafty.
That's right.
Yep.
So the Leafs picked, actually it was a really good top 6. Lemieux went first, Muller second, Eddie Olchuk third. Toronto took Ally Frady.
Oh, wow. This was which year?
84.
84, okay.
And then Montreal took Peter Svoboda, who I loved when he was playing. Mm-hmm. And then Craig Redmond went 6th. Craig Redmond did not want to go to Toronto. And it became a storyline because the next year, apparently, Craig Simpson said he wouldn't play for the Leafs. Now, that has been disputed. But in the Toronto newspapers at the time, there was a first meeting with Craig Simpson and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And according to the papers at the time, from the Simpson side, it didn't go well. As in, they were not impressed. Then it became a big thing in Toronto newspapers. And then they went and they had another meeting. And then that went better. But the Leafs still ended up going with Wendell Clark. And so that's how you ended up with Wendell Clark as a Toronto Maple Leaf. And I just thought you guys would find that interesting. Side story from the 80s, the forgotten decade of hockey in Toronto.
Now, what were we talking about?
It doesn't matter. No, I wanted to talk about this. Day 1 training camp, Buffalo Sabres, Rasmus Dahlin's already injured.
Oh, dude.
That sucks.
How bad? Like, what happened?
Well, we don't fully know yet, but he sustained an injury literally right away in practice. And it's tough to be a Sabre.
Is it bad? Is he out for
weeks? I think they're holding him out from practice today. I'm just having a look here.
So wait, when was he first on the ice? Today or yesterday?
Yesterday. This is yesterday, and it was right away.
So this is less than 24 hours old.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Rasmus Dahlin.
I was thinking about my Sabres season preview and everything, and I'm like, you know what? With that decor?
Yeah.
No? Oh, dude.
Yeah. Rasmus Dahlin, according to Jason Moser from puckluck.com, is not on the ice. So.
Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff announced that Dahlin will miss a few days of practice after getting hurt during the team's first practice session in training camp on Wednesday. Dahlin was injured at the start of the season while attempting a pass. The Swedish blue liner has developed into one of the top defensemen in the NHL, blah, 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 blah. That's from NHL.com. There you go. So, yeah, miss a few days of practice at least.
That sucks.
He was attempting a pass. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
That seems like
That's like when Steve comes in and complains about something. You're like, Steve, what were you doing? He's like, I was getting out of bed.
oh yeah, that's a hard thing.
Pulled a whatever.
It's a hard thing to do. Get out of bed. It's my least favorite thing to do.
Is it really?
Getting out of bed?
The least favorite?
It's the thing I have the most difficulty with.
That bed's awesome.
I thought it was for
Bed is so awesome.
Yeah.
The bed is awesome. I just thought the most difficult thing for you was showing up to meetings on time.
That is also difficult.
Excuse me.
I was on time today.
I know. I'm
And
giving you
yesterday.
shit. I'm giving you
Gosh
shit.
darn it.
Goodness.
How dare you? How dare you? No, now I have an alarm that knows how to open doors, and he runs into my room and smacks me.
Is that
Yeah.
What time do you get up? What time do your kids smack you awake?
It depends. Sometime a good day is 7:15.
Okay.
A not great day is about 6 o'clock, and he tells me I stink and I'm old. Have I told that story on the podcast?
That you stink and you're old?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I got out of bed because he woke me up. So I was gonna help him, and I get out of bed not in my Sunday's best. I'm in my friggin' underwear, and he goes, "Daddy, you smell." And I go, "Thanks, buddy." And he goes, "Yeah, sometimes when you get old, you smell."
Wow.
He's 4. Great kid. Mm-hmm. Great kid. Love him very much.
Yeah. Has to be like, see that pool out there? Looks pretty cold.
Yeah, I'm filling it with cement. Screw you, kid.
You're not going to get to enjoy that pool anymore. Okay, I wanted to play you this clip. A few people sent this to me, and it is from Philadelphia Flyers training camp. And it is this. All they write is.
John Tortorella banned happiness.
All they write is the rope.
Yes.
Hockey's hardest skate test returns with the start of the 2024 Flyers training camp. You say yes. What do you know about the rope?
All I know is I watched a really vague video about what the rope is, and every player hating it and dying.
What I love about the Philadelphia Flyers is for the last couple of years, John Tortorella has been their star player.
Yes.
Like, you know,
Their identity.
They do have marketable guys like Konechny and that sort of thing. But like, you know, he sat the captain and a lot of guys have been traded and whatever. So John is Mr. Philadelphia right now.
John Couturier is not the captain.
Yeah.
He's not.
John Tortorella is.
Yeah.
So John Tortorella is in this video. And how about that? He's actually, it seems like he's actually enjoying being on camera for once.
Well, he gets to talk about torturing his players.
That's right. So let's have a watch.
Is there music in this?
I don't believe there is.
Okay.
If there is, then we'll stop. There's music.
There it is.
Did you play it before you sent it out?
I did play it. You suck. I don't know. I'm not like listening to the music. I'm watching John Tortorella. Man, okay. Here's what NHL teams need to do. It has to be license-free music.
No.
You must play not license-free music.
No.
It might be, but we could test it if you want.
God, that's
We could
funny.
play it with and we could see if it'll.
So
detect,
first off,
but,
what I love is that in the video, they drop a flipping rope in front of it. It's like, it's the rope. And they get a bunch of players and they're like, oh, I hate the rope. I hate the rope. How does the rope work?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Do
So-
you know how the rope works?
You know what's funny is I don't think it matters how the rope works. The answer is I don't know. But it doesn't matter how the rope works. What matters is it's the hardest physical test John Tortorella puts his players through. And he says in this video that, you know, players they want to minimize the pain when they have to do this bloody exercise. And so they're thinking about it throughout the offseason. Every party you go to, now I'm extrapolating, but like every party you go to, every burger and fries you get, every beer you drink is going to make the rope harder. You know what I mean? It's
So because you know your whole life is going to go. It's like one of those points in life where everything leads to this.
yeah, it's like if I told you in February we gotta run 10K.
Oh, fuck.
I would. I jog a few
tomorrow,
times.
You're gonna think about that.
Yeah.
You're gonna at least go and try a few times to run 10K and train a little bit. You know, so him putting this at the beginning of training camp, say, hey, when we get back to Philly and you're back here, you're gonna do the rope test. That makes you think. It's such good coaching. It's great stuff.
Yeah,
a big fan of that.
It's very smart. I mean, players show up to camp out of shape. No,
I can't believe
you will not start a season for my team slow.
I can't believe that even in this day and age, the players would show up out of shape. I know what happens.
You're
I know
an
we're human beings.
athlete. What's the matter with you?
It's an exaggeration. Like, I don't think there's a lot of players doing that these days, but there's some. It's not like the
You'd be
80s,
surprised.
you know?
Yeah, it's not like the 80s where they're drinking beer after practice. Yeah,
it used to be a mentality where training camp would get you into shape. You could play yourself into shape. And, there's James Harden is probably the biggest name example of that ever, where every season he shows up to camp the largest he's ever been, and then throughout the season he gets up to the speed that he needs to be at. But I don't think a lot of guys in hockey think that way.
No, I have heard a story where there was a player, very important player to their team, and the team begged this player at the beginning of the offseason. They're like, please stay behind in insert city. Please stay behind in our city and work out with our staff.
Right.
And this player told them, don't worry, I'm going to go home and I'm going to work out with my guys. And he showed up to camp out of shape. And this was a team that could not afford to have him that way. Like, they were not deep on this player in his position. And, dude, it's a big deal. It's a very, very big deal.
My favorite quote.
Most players are not Mark Messier.
My favorite quote from the video is, there are a lot of great athletes in this league. No one wants to be embarrassed. Because, that's the thing, is that it would reveal you to your teammates immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Forget getting embarrassed in front of the fans.
Or your coach.
Or your, an opposing team. The guy sitting next to you, the guys you share the bus and the plane with, know you were dogging it. Some of them might not care. Some of them are going to care. You know what? They're going to care the first time you make them look like shit because you were a step behind.
So the Flyers have a camp notebook that they have on their site, and day one is obviously the rope day. So I can read some of the quotes from day one of the camp notebook. The rope has returned. Flyers players hit the ice at Flyers Training Camp Center in Voorhees the first day of NHL training camp, as he has done throughout his NHL coaching career. Tortorella set aside the first day of camp for the ultra-grueling skating test, 3 sets of 8 laps apiece. So 3 sets of 8 laps. That's the rope test, yeah. This year 3 as Flyers head coach. Tortorella said, adding about the skating test that he doesn't care about the players' finishing times, but the competitive drive to push through fatigue and discomfort. There are a lot of great athletes in this league. No one wants to be embarrassed. There you go. So they had the skating test group, so you can see who everybody skated with. And then we have some quotes. This is what veteran defenseman Johnson said. It's a physical test, but even more mental. Goaltenders did not participate in the skating test. Instead, they tested on stationary bikes.
That makes sense.
Samuel Urson and Sam Hillebrand were in group 1, and then
I hope
the
it's
groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hillebrandt's a lot more fun. News announced nearly all the players pushed through to complete their skating tests.
Oh.
That does not mean, however, that there weren't quite a few players who were feeling the effects of skating lap after lap. I want to know who failed, because they said nearly all. Some
somebody
players
failed, though.
They said nearly all. Who's the nearly? Oh my gosh. Sean Couturier.
Get ready to learn Lehigh Valleyese, buddy.
Yeah, no kidding.
They talked about Sean Couturier's offseason surgery, and I think Travis Konechny gave Couturier a little push to help him generate forward momentum during their skating test, much as line mates sometimes do to give a teammate a boost before skating up the ice. Yep, I got a little helping hand there from TK, Couturier said with a grin. So it seems like everybody's taking this in stride. They all have a lot of fun with it. Drysdale added 18 pounds of muscle over the summer.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Here,
Wow.
Can I pause on that? No, he didn't.
What are you talking about?
You know how much 18 pounds of muscle is?
He reported a camp at 196 pounds. Jeez.
Yeah, I assume he was probably like 160, 170 before, and a lot of muscle and a little bit of fat.
How do you do that
No, he didn't.
in 3-4 months?
Like, he showed up.
And by the way, he
18
said
pounds heavier. Not all of it's muscle.
He stayed in Voorhees all summer to rehab, so he's coming off surgery and gained 18 pounds of just muscle? I don't know.
Yeah,
that seems like a
Put it
fibber
this
rib.
way.
talking about?
If he does, smash the over on everything.
Maddie, go to the full cam. Everybody, Look at the two gentlemen who are telling you that a professional athlete can't add muscle over the course of a summer.
Add muscle. Yeah, that's holy shit, Adam.
Oh no.
That's I didn't know you can make that face.
I'm really strong.
You look like a Mad TV sketch. Hey,
What is wrong with you guys? Jamie Drysdale.
you know how
did it.
much 18 pounds of muscle is?
18 pounds of muscle is insane.
He's a pro athlete.
Okay,
That's why it's so hard.
he's not a freaking weightlifter.
That's
Yeah.
his job.
No, his job's playing hockey. It's different.
It's part of his
It
job.
seems like
Steve.
everybody was taking this first day of training camp in stride. It seems like there's a great culture being built in Philadelphia.
yes.
And these little things and having like a camp report and everybody filming the rope video. Like,
Yeah.
It's really cool. I love what
is
they're
fun.
building in Philly. It's awesome.
Oh, and it's that was the thing when Torts took over. It's like we have a bad culture.
Yeah.
And starting from him down.
Yep.
This
He's like, well, we're gonna have a different culture now. I'm here.
the not worrying about your time, but worrying about your compete level is a very hockey workout mentality, and it has been for a long time. So I was at the World Junior Summer Training Camp in Newfoundland in 2010, and they did I was at a Nike Combine, and they did a different version of the beep test.
The beep test.
It was 14 years ago. I can't remember exactly how it was different, but most of you have done the beep test in high school, and it friggin' was awful. You could fail 1, 2, or 3 times. I can't remember. They would give you like, okay, you didn't make it to the beep, but they'll give you an opportunity to make it to the next beep.
Right.
Part of the reason they do that is, all right, you failed, make up for it. But one of the other things they did was if you were having too easy of a time with it and you just dogged it, they'd give you a warning and then they'd ding you. So you would lose one of your fails.
Whoa.
Because I don't care if this is easy for you. I need your full effort. It's the point of the workout wasn't to win. The point of the effort was to try your absolute hardest for as long as possible.
Right. Go to the max.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good one. I like that. That's fun.
Tyler Seguin set the record in Heat 1, and then he had it broken in Heat 2. I can't remember the name of the guy who did it, but I walked over to Seguin with a camera and a mic, and he said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He couldn't breathe. It was hard, man. It was hard.
The other, I know that in Ottawa, Travis Green is known for kicking off camp with just bag skating you. Remember there was that really famous picture of Oliver Ekman-Larsson just like
On the ground.
on the ground? And I think he had been
Yeah.
coming off an injury. Like everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's fat and out of shape. It's like, well, I think he had been injured.
Oh yeah, OEL.
Yeah.
Famously.
Fat and out of shape.
Yeah.
But I just thought, like, there are certain coaches where I think that's in your fucking brain. And when you go through a coach change too, like you know, if you knew Sheldon Keefe 2-3 times, you're like, nah, I kind of get what this guy's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
With Berube, with the Leafs specifically, you have no idea. You can ask your buddies in St. Louis, like, hey,
It's like a new boss at work. You know,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got to impress the new boss.
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how many guys even, like in the Leafs organization, even played under Berube. I can't think of any.
I don't know.
They have any former Blues, former Flyers?
I know that, I mean, Ryan O'Reilly came through town, so if any of the Leafs are still texting him, they can be like, hey, Ryan, what's...
Yeah, I guess. Like, but that's the best you can do.
Nola Chari, yeah, like those guys. I mean, I think they all know. NHL players all kind of know each other anyway. But it's something where it's like, oh yeah, like this is. It doesn't even matter that someone tells you that. You still need to be like, I gotta come and make a good first impression. It is in your head. I love that.
Not just to the coach, but to your teammates.
Andy Strickland, along with many others, reporting that the owners are going to meet on the expansion process in Atlanta and Houston. And I talked to Alan about it yesterday on Agent Provocateur. Sorry, I keep bringing it up, but obviously it came up in the thing. Alan's takes on it were very, very interesting. But Atlanta and Houston seem to be the two teams that are going to happen. And one of the things that that I think is fascinating about this is, like, if it gets approved this year, let's say, it's still going to be about 4 years before either of these teams show up. Arenas and everything else. Houston has a pretty good history with hockey. Specifically, I don't know if you know this, the Houston Aeros with Gordie Howe, Mark Howe, and Marty Howe, won the Avco Cup of the WHA like 3 times in a row before the league folded.
It's a big deal.
The Avco Cup was a big deal. And then beyond that, the Atlanta group seems to be the one everybody's super pumped about. And Alan mentioned in the show, he's like, it was like mind blowing. The presentation apparently, like the NHL
For Houston?
for Atlanta, like they are blown away with what this arena, entertainment park, whatever is going to be.
Did they have really good renderings of what the NHL could look like in Atlanta?
I mean, they might actually have some stock photos. But I think I asked him the question, and I'm I think you should go and listen to his answer of it. But it's so funny to hear people's reaction online.
It's
you get the Drew take, the producer Drew take, which is, well, we got to focus on making the league better before we expand.
That's a
Farts, Drew.
What?
That's such a man. How old are you, Drew?
Sorry,
how old are you?
Can you do that Drew impression again?
Well, we got to make sure that the league's better with the 32 that we have. Like,
why did you go all Texas
for a second?
Today I learned producer Drew is Fat Albert. That's what that sounded
well,
like.
I was like, Drew, like a lot. Listen, I know when he's trolling, and there's a lot of creativity that goes into it. But that was like, I was like, Drew, what kind of 85-year-old fucking man is tweeting that shit?
Adam, this is different. This is different than Vegas. This is different than Seattle. More people are saying that.
Wow. Doesn't make it good.
No, I'm just saying more people are saying it.
Here's how I know you don't watch any hockey outside of the NHL. You tweet shit like that.
Okay.
How
many people watch non-NHL
There are
hockey?
tons of good hockey players all around the world. There are more now than there ever have been before. More now than ever. They're better trained. They're ready. And we're talking about 5 years from now. Come on, guys. Come on. If you're going to have a take about it, Drew, specifically, I'm talking to you. Put a little effort in.
Well,
I'm fine with, listen, I'm
the
pro
cap?
expansion because I want Atlanta to come back. I think it's going to work great. Their ownership situation was garbage last time. Team got no promotion. Alan tells a great story about it. I'm going to leave it for the show because I'm going to blow everything, but it's hilarious.
Sure.
It was a fucking clown show when the Thrashers were there. There's no other way to describe it.
They were a horrible hockey.
The Atlanta Flames from a bazillion years ago, who even knows what that was like? The NHL was essentially the Wirtz family and whatever they wanted at that point. And so now you've got a real owner with a real district with a real plan that's going in. Then you look at a market like Houston. Atlanta's a top 10 television market. This is key. Houston, I think, is bigger than Atlanta. They're both top 10 markets.
I believe you're right because in recent years, in terms of metropolitan area, Toronto passed Houston to enter the top 5 or something.
And I'm pretty sure it's the Rockets owner.
New York, LA, Chicago, Philly, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Boston, Washington, San Fran.
in terms of the states.
So just based on
That's
television
just
market,
America, yeah.
Yeah, just based on television market alone, you can't have a serious league without markets 5 and 6.
6 and 7.
Or 6 and 7. 67.
Can I pose a theory for why Atlanta didn't work?
Because their ownership was a clown show.
342 wins, 437 losses, and then 45, I guess that's overtime losses, and 78 shootout losses. I forgot that they used to have the records like that. Holy shit.
That's rough.
It's
Can
really
you
bad.
look up how many playoff wins the organization had?
0. I know for a fact it was
No. I'm not talking about. They never had a win in the playoffs, like one win,
Yes.
not a series.
They made the playoffs as the 3 seed against the 6th seeded New York Rangers. That's when Sean Avery drove Ilya Kovalchuk out of his mind, and the Rangers swept them.
Wow. Yeah.
They never won a playoff game.
No wonder they couldn't market to fans.
Yeah.
They never won a playoff game. They made it once and they never won.
The point Adam's hammering on about the market size, you're doing a disservice to your business if you're in a market that's 30 rungs below on the largest markets in America when the 6 and 7 are right there. If you're trying to build a business where you're trying to make money, you should be in places where there's people.
Yes.
And there's corporate dollars.
Yeah.
And there's fans. So the NHL would be smart to go into these markets.
And it seems like a lot right now because we've just had, people think like, oh, Vegas is a new team. Vegas is 7 or 8 years old now, guys. It's not that new. And Seattle.
And they've done well.
Yes, and they've done well. In Seattle,
which is very important to the success of franchises.
Seattle
Atlanta
already
had-
has like so many more wins than the Atlanta Thrashers did in the playoffs.
Atlanta had 2 90 or more point seasons. 2 seasons of 90 points or more. Two out of 11. They had 1 season where they won more than half of their games.
Okay, so here's my point to Drew is
1.
how many hockey games, how many NHL games do you watch in a year when you go, man, I'm not entertained?
Are you asking about his DAZN?
Is DAZN?
Account where he can watch the KHL?
Hey, I have a DAZN account, and I you can't throw on the KHL.
I have one that I borrow from my father-in-law.
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's not. No, that doesn't happen. You
No.
don't share.
No.
Sharing is not caring.
Especially not the Brits.
I think that it obviously it makes business sense, but we're talking about 5 years from now too. I think this is too much too soon for like the average person because it's Seattle just came in.
This isn't happening tomorrow.
Yes, we're talking 2030 here, guys. Yeah. Like it's a long time.
Wait, tomorrow?
Tomorrow is 2030.
This is happening tomorrow?
They approved it, Steve. That means they gotta get a team and get on the ice.
Real
guys,
shit?
Utah couldn't even pick a fucking name.
On God?
It takes time to do stuff.
Yeah, and
Just like
it's
that.
going to be at least till after the new CBA is negotiated,
Which is
because
26.
they want the language in the new CBA about these expansion franchises that are coming in. And then once that happens, then you start kind of the expansion process, and that takes a couple of years. So yeah, it's 2030.
What I'm going to be curious about, guys, is not whether these teams are coming, because they are. The NHL needs to get in those markets full stop. I'm curious about whether they come in at the same time. Because if you remember back in the day, the NHL had Nashville, Atlanta, Columbus, and Minnesota all come back.
I kind of feel like this is better.
And
like
they came
one at a time.
And I believe they came back all at the same time.
Yes, they did.
And they also had extremely oppressive expansion draft rules. And same with the Ottawa Senators and Tampa Bay Lightning when they came in the early 90s.
They all stunk.
They were all bad for years, and they couldn't recover for years.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously if these two teams
Minnesota was probably the quickest.
if these two teams come in together, it's going to make a chaotic offseason.
I would like them to come in together for the sake of conference alignment and scheduling, because nothing made me more upset.
You run a content company.
No, for the game.
Content, it would be better to spread it out.
For content, you want just content come in all the time. You know,
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get two years of expansion drafts. That's all fun. Like content, spread it out. But for the sake of the game, nothing made me more upset when one division had 7 teams and another one had 8. I was like,
I know, and we just fixed it.
and we just got to.
We're like, hey, let's ruin it.
We got to 16, 16, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Like everything's perfect across the board and everything's kind of symmetrical. And then if we go 34, it's like, okay, we can make 17, 17 work. We may have to rejig the divisions a little, but like at least
Gary
it's
Bettman's
even.
plan. This is Gary Bettman's plan. Oh, no, it's uneven, which means we got to put 2 more. Oh, no.
Gary will not be around.
36?
He will not be around for that, but I do think the NHL will go to
36 would, just
in the next 10 years.
That's got to be.
In 10 years.
At some
gotta be the
point,
goal.
you got to be like, all right.
I don't think you do.
No, you just have 60 teams.
No, I think you just play. You're not going to play every team every year.
no,
Lots of leagues do that.
You would.
With 36?
Yeah. Like that's.
I just don't know how you would do
That's
that
not-
because you have the divisional play too, right?
Yeah, but you'd play every team at least once. You wouldn't.
NHL goes to 100-game regular season.
You probably wouldn't
Holy
go
shit.
to each market twice.
Oh, okay. So
but
it's just like a one-timer, like one
maybe-
year you play this team at home and then
maybe you work it out like that, but like you'll play every team. I don't think the scheduling part of it isn't the biggest concern, but I just like the balanced nature of the schedule.
Yeah.
The business side of it is number 1.
Yeah.
Fairness of competition is number 2.
Oh yeah,
For the NHL.
But what I want to get at was what do you say to the Drew who say that there aren't enough players to do this and that the competition?
Do you watch an NHL game ever and you're like, man, I really hated that. The lack of talent in that game was astounding.
Do you think there's
there
enough?
are boring
there's
games.
enough players?
Watch the Preds in the playoffs versus Vancouver last year. Boring. But nobody's going to look at that game and go, man, we're lacking talent.
Those are playoff teams, though. They're
Okay,
teams at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
we're
fucking ducks.
we're
dude.
talking about
We're not talking about.
No,
we're not talking about teams that intentionally said, fuck your talent, get off my team. Which is what the Ducks, the Coyotes, the Blackhawks less so because they did have Bedard. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not talking about teams that are like, we're trying to take a dive for Celebrini and Bedard. I'm talking about every team outside of the 4 or 5 teams every year that do that. That's a lot of teams.
Now, I don't think Drew said there's not enough talent. I think he said there's not enough star talent. And he might have a point there.
I don't think so.
The high-end talent.
I don't think so.
I don't hate that.
More
Because
opportunity.
how many stars? I'm not talking McDavid superstars. How many stars should a team have?
So
do we set the number at 4?
Let me throw an
That's
expansion
8 more stars.
example at you.
Okay.
How many goals did William Karlsson have for the Columbus Blue Jackets?
I think the answer is like 6 or 11 or something.
I remember actually when William Karlsson, it's probably not one of his favorite tweets, but Justin Bourne said, man, whoever let William Karlsson be taken in the expansion draft should be fired. And the guy that made the decision tweeted at him angrily. And I'm looking at so Karlsson played 18 games for the Ducks. He had 2 goals. He played 3 seasons, 2 full seasons with the Blue Jackets. And in 81 plus 81 plus 3, however many games that is, he had like 15 goals the entire time. Then he goes to Vegas and has 43. And since then, has been pretty good. Like last year especially was a nice comeback year for him, 30 goals, 30 assists. Guys like that exist in the NHL, and the opportunities aren't there.
You got to find them.
And you're telling me with these insane, like look at these kids coming up from high school now. With the insane, the American academies that are going to get you in the NCAA. These kids are like soccer kids. They're picked at 8 years old. And it's like, that kid might have it. We're going to put him in crazy academy in Florida.
There's kids on the Whippy Wildcats doing the Michigan.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's going to be enough talent, everybody. Yeah. I don't think that's the problem. And Steve, you said something really interesting.
I know.
You said in the NHL, business comes first. Competition second. And that has to be the way it is, because if the business sucks, there can be no competition.
Damn.
And so all I'm saying is you should be pro expansion. You should be pro expansion. And if you're like, you remember the Family Guy bit where it's like, remember guys, who's going to pay your bills? That's right, Hollywood kid. If you're
I don't remember that.
Parents, you should be thrilled about it. Well, there's more jobs.
You know who's probably thrilled about it? Hockey fans in the Atlanta and Houston area.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
Also, build an arena, Arizona, and we'll be back.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
Will as in the royal will of the game of hockey.
Forgot about that.
Jaromir Jagr will officially retire.
He's full of poo.
Sad.
At the end of the season.
Should have kept playing.
I know. Just he looked good. You were right. Like we saw the clips from the Czech League. He looks good. At 52, Jaromir Jagr, this is from Chris Johnson, Jaromir Jagr picked up an assist on the first goal scored by his team in the Czech League this season. His pending entry into the Hockey Hall of Fame will be pushed to 2028 at the earliest. Now,
no.
That's
poo.
Here's what bothers me about this.
Everything.
When Gretzky retired, he got a pass right into the Hall of Fame. Instant. They're like, oh yeah, because the whole customary thing is you got to wait 3 years.
Yep.
3 years after retirement. And the idea behind the 3-year rule, which made sense a long time ago, was we want to make sure you don't make a comeback, like Guy Lafleur, who retired and was like, you know what? I do want to play for the Rangers a few years later. And he was pretty good. I think in this particular case, I don't know that you can have a Mount Rushmore of hockey, or at least maybe even a top 5, I guess, and not have Jaromir Jagr on it. We're talking about not one of the best players to have existed in his era. We're talking about one of the best players to have existed ever. If you make the concession for Gretzky and Lemieux, you make the concession for Jagr. You put him in as soon as you can. And you know why you do it?
What did they do with Orr?
It's good for marketing.
Yeah. I want to know what they did with Orr.
Let's find out. Bobby Orr.
There's been a number of players in NHL history who've had the waiting period wait for them. It not only includes Wayne Gretzky, but also Dick Clapper in 47, Maurice Richard in 61, Ted Lindsay in 66, Red Kelly in 69, Terry Sawchuk in 71, posthumously.
Yeah, because he died.
Jean Bellevue in 72, Gordie Howe in 72, Bobby Orr in 79, Mario in 97, and Gretzky in 99. That's the full list.
So for a lot of those guys, you're acknowledging you're the best player of your time, or you died. And Jaromir Jagr has not played an NHL game since 2018. It has been a very long time since you could consider him in the conversation for best player ever. They're not going to waive it for him.
That's
Now,
bullshit.
There was something.
Where did he finish in total points in the in NHL history?
He's second. I don't even have to look it up.
And that's with missing some seasons, by the way. He went and played in Russia.
So this is this is the thing with Jaromir Jagr. And I was going to write about it in my book, but it was something I left behind because I was like, this is too much work. And also, you have to put rules on it. So, who has the most points in NHL history?
Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky by a country mile. Who has the most professional points?
That British guy.
Ever. Well, Tony Hand
Yeah.
is his name.
Adam hates Tony Hand.
I don't know
Tony
why.
Hand. I've heard the story a million times.
You have
It's like, wow, do you guys know the story about... It's like every meme account out there, it's like, oh, I'm going to put a slideshow together. Do you know the Tony Hand story? And there's always a billion people who are like, never heard the Tony Hand story before. This is insane.
So,
And I'm like, okay, I don't know how you haven't heard it.
when do you... Because new people are born all the time and don't...
I don't know how this happened. This is
people
insane.
learn things every day, and I don't know why.
No, not the Tony Hand one.
I don't
That's
know why you
ubiquitous.
can't get
You know
over
what?
the fact that people learn things.
I'm looking it up.
No,
I'm looking it
we're
up.
not telling the goddamn Tony Hand story.
Okay, what I wanted to look up is the all-time leading games played and points scored professionally. But then I was like, okay, you gotta put guardrails on. At some point, you got to be like, I'm not counting this league, right? So for Tony Hand, and this is going to offend a lot of Brits, I'm sorry, but like, do you count the British league?
No, in the 80s. No.
Okay, do you count the Czech league?
Sure, when?
Well, it's good now. How good was it back then? Do you count second tier Czech league?
No.
Nah. Do you count Germany in 94, 95? Do you count Italy? I mean, these are one game stints that he played there. It's an interesting conversation, but he scored 1,921 NHL points, and then in all other leagues, you probably tack on like at least another 500.
I think what it comes down to is we know what Jagr is to the game of hockey.
Yeah.
And everybody else who's on that list I just read of who you made an exception for with the 3-year waiting period, and also the guys who were in the Hall of Fame and also active NHL players like Howe, Lafleur, and Lemieux, who played while Hall of Famers, there were exceptions. And these rules aren't set in stone because you've bent them a dozen times over the years.
No, but you got to get Colin Campbell in there.
Oh my god! We don't need to talk about that again.
Jagr's never tried to make the league unfair.
No.
So
What?
if you've made all of these exceptions over the years, and there's one very obvious person you could make another exception for, just do it.
Yeah.
Your rules are made up by you, and you change them willy-nilly all the time.
Yeah, it's like
Just what?
all right, well, we can't just go bending the rules for everyone. Well, who is it? It's Jaromir Jagr. Oh,
yeah.
He's only the second leading scorer all time.
The guy who's not everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy. I don't know. Maybe we should change the
And
rule.
also, let's just say this: a Jagr Hall of Fame ceremony is gonna do more numbers than Pierre Turgeon. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Who the hell went in last year? It was Turgeon and
I don't think you need to disparage.
I'm not
Yeah,
trying
you
to-
don't need to
like
do this,
that.
but I
I'm
understand.
not disparaging.
This
I'm
is a
saying
weird- this is a
there's
weird
a bit of a
fuck.
fucking difference. It's a good marketing play. Are you kidding me?
I understand.
I understand what
I'm
you're
sorry.
saying.
No, you're right. Pierre Turgeon would disagree with
I
that.
understand what you're saying, but it didn't.
I am not
It didn't need to be.
denigrating Pierre
It
Turgeon's
didn't need to
career.
be said to help the argument.
What other Hall of Famers stink? Let's
Just-
go through the
One of those
list.
where you're like, come on, guys. Like, put him in the Hall of Fame.
Paul Korea, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
Listen, they all deserve it.
Dino, he never won. Dino never won. Matts.
There are people
we
that
gotta
would make
have the
that
conversation.
agreement. There are people that would make that argument, and I think they're
I know.
full of shit.
It's ridiculous
But-
to make this man wait for his Hall
yes,
of Fame induction.
is my point.
Yeah.
Just to look back on, and again, like we got to explain Tony Hand because new people come into the world. Let's explain Jaromir Jagr.
Okay, please.
Let's explain Jaromir Jagr. 'Cause
I'm
some
interested.
people are just going to know him as the old guy who played forever. He won a Stanley Cup in 1991 in his first year in the league. He won a Stanley Cup in 1992 in his second season in the league. 1995, Art Ross is leading scorer. 1998, Art Ross is leading scorer. 1999, Art Ross is leading scorer. 1999, Hart as MVP. 1999, Lester B. Pearson as MVP voted by the players. 2000, Art Ross is leading scorer. 2000, Lester B. Pearson, MVP as voted by the players. 2001, Art Ross is the NHL's leading scorer. 2006, Lester B. Pearson, best player as voted by the players. And 2016, Bill Masterton trophy that he got for just being there. Dude, Jaromir Jagr, there was a time where I think it was a 20-year stretch where no human being won a scoring title who wasn't named Gretzky, Lemieux, or Jagr. He's up there.
He needs to be.
He belongs in the conversation, and making him wait another 3 years is funny, but I think it's also unnecessary.
So no disrespect to the Turgeon family. I just want to say that. I was a big
Family?
Turgeon-
Where did the family get it?
Turgeon family. I don't know. Maybe one of the
digging
members
a
is
hole.
listening of the Turgeon family.
You're digging a hole.
I'm not digging a hole. I think they would agree. Jagr will do better numbers. Just throwing that out there.
In 1986-87,
No, I don't care.
On
Tony
the screen.
No.
Tony Hand had 105 goals in 35 games.
Great, man.
He's the greatest hockey player to ever live.
Ever. Scottish Gretzky, baby.
Man.
He had 81 goals in the year after his 105 goal season, 212 points in the 88-89 season for the Murrayfield Racers. 212 points in 35
Does
games.
the camera have to be on me throughout this?
Yes.
Matty? What the fuck?
Yes, Matty.
93,
I'm gonna be so
94,
upset if you change.
222 points
Oh,
in a
man.
single season.
That's
his
more
record,
than Gretzky with the Oilers.
his record 150 assists that season, 93, 94. Added 72 goals. Tony Hand,
I do think
123
it's-
points, 95.
I am not
96.
denigrating Tony Hand, by the way.
Why haven't we done a segment on
As recently as 2010, 2011, he had 133 points for the Manchester Phoenix of the EPL.
But how many championships did he win, Jess?
A couple, I assume.
It doesn't say on HockeyDB either because
Yeah, I
he
don't-
didn't win any or because they don't keep track.
It's-
I don't think they keep
BHL.
track of the BHL playoff
Was-
stats in the championship.
No, I think we got to ask the question: was Tony Hand a flop in the playoffs? Right? If he doesn't have any stats.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely have to ask that
Couldn't get it
question.
done. Lost. Look at that. Lost the first round. That's coaching.
Oh, and he was
That's
a
as
coach.
Yeah. He didn't have a good stint in the EIHL in terms of playoffs, I guess, based on
That's
that, but
basically what the British League became.
So it was BISL and then BNL.
BHL.
Just
BHL.
assume the B stands for Britain.
His rookie year, he had 95 points in 30 games. Quite remarkable.
One thing I am interested in is what did 1980s British hockey pay?
I guess I'm assuming not a lot.
Like zero. I assume he had another job.
Because NHL didn't pay all that. Like it paid okay, but it didn't pay that great.
Right.
Go to his team in the 94-95 season. I want to see if anyone played there during the lockout. With the Edinburgh... What team is that? I don't have my glasses on.
Racers.
Racers. Hell yeah. I don't recognize them.
And not a
This
lot
isn't
of
as fun
big
as I thought it would
names.
be.
Paul Hand, I assume his brother.
You don't know that.
Man, can you imagine the advertising for that? Catch these hands. Come see the
Damn.
Fairfield Racers
Love that.
Nice.
or Edinburgh Racers, wherever they. Does anybody have an Edinburgh Racers jersey at home?
Tony Hand.
I must know.
This guy named Merv. Merv's such an old-timey name.
It is.
They had a guy from Peterborough. Gee, I wonder what the first line was. The fourth scorer has 79 points. The top three have 162, 167, and 207.
Man,
Holy shit.
Canadians,
What's the
too.
point of playing if your team is Tony Hand, you're going to win. Like, what's the point?
I wonder what the first line was.
Chris Palmer, who was on that first line, the closest he got to the NHL was the AHL for the Rochester Americans.
Good for him.
In near 2000.
Wow.
But yeah, no NHL experience there.
Aren't
Anyways,
you glad?
Tony Hand, everybody.
So glad. Tony Hand.
Hey, Mike Ware was an Edmonton Oiler for
Put
5
your hands
games.
together for Tony Hand.
You know what?
It's nothing against Tony personally. I think those numbers are impressive. It's just I've heard.
Let's talk to sales. New sponsor segment.
What did Tony Hand do?
What Tony Hand and Tourism Scotland.
Hey,
Get 'em on board.
Do we have NHL Cart Watch today?
We'll save it for Monday.
We are going to save it for Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
I know we've been accumulating.
Yeah,
But-
we have a couple of really good ones. And a complaint.
And a complete.
Yeah. I'll tease it for Monday.
I can't
NHL Car Watch on Monday is going to be must watch because we have a leaf, a hab, and a complaint.
Oh, shucks.
Stay tuned.
I do want to say this. There's an official update coming this afternoon. The Ottawa Senators have a new arena deal in the LeBreton Flats.
Whoa!
That's all we know.
The arena is going to be where people are.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
The NHL is expanding to Ottawa
Honestly.
in some ways.
Yeah.
They weren't previously there.
They're moving it away from the cows and to the people.
Well, it's not cows anymore. It used to be cows. It's now very mediocre hotels.
Oh, they demolished the cows and they put hotels.
Good luck to those hotels, tugs on collar.
Yeah. I wonder what they do with that arena now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's tough.
maybe you make it into condos like you do everything else. So yeah, that'll be great. From what I'm seeing, and again, this just happened. We still don't know anything. So yeah, I'm sure we'll cover it on Monday. I don't know. Let's do the press conference.
All right.
I don't know. I was trying to find some detail.
SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
First question. Have you ever heard of Tony Hand? Scottish Gretzky.
Thoughts on Tony Hand?
Adam, what do you think?
Joe Pavelski is at Penguins training camp today talking to Kyle Dubas and Jason Spezza. Is he to play or is he to manage?
No, coach. That would be...
You think he's going to coach?
Yeah, because he's retired.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Big shout out to Court for DMing me that. I would have missed it.
Court?
Yeah, her name's Court. On Courtney. On my DMs are open on X/Twitter. So she sent me some Penguin stuff.
Hey, Joe.
She also is like, hey, can you fuck off and stop ripping Pens fans?
We just like to needle them.
Exactly. Every once in a while you pick a team and you go, you know what?
I wanted to bring this up because we touched on it last show and we got more conversation out of it from the peoples.
Oh.
So we had a question in the press conference. It was, what's Steve Dangle's best rant? And Steve...
Scratching my back with a pencil. Yeah.
Oh, he's scratching his back with a pencil. And you went with the Montreal game. And we talked a lot about the Zamboni driver game as well. But there's a lot of comments and people giving you other suggestions for your best rant. So I wanted to go through some of them.
What do we got?
If you just give me a second here. It's taking me a little bit to bring it up. Some people commented on the Zamboni driver rant. We got this comment from Rick Mobile. Whenever I'm feeling down, a nice Zamboni rant does the trick. It's almost as good as a faulty towers marathon.
Wow.
Wow. That's
All right.
cool. So it's some people's comfort food.
Yeah.
I like that.
Dude, especially in the summer when I'm not making nearly as much content, it'll be like I get to see what the top 5 videos are on my channel for the month. And it's usually top 5.
Wow.
It's unreal. For 4 years.
Payre Docs made their own list. They said Ayers 1,
Yep.
Boston 19 2,
Boston in 2019. I don't remember what I said. They all blend together.
Yeah.
Montreal 21 3,
Yep.
3.
Wow.
Nashville 14, number 4.
Yeah.
Number 5, Tampa 22.
The fog. When they came out of it and did nothing. And then Eulogy the next year or 2 years later when they did nothing. Like it's unbelievable. It's not justifiable.
You're running out of names.
It's not justifiable. Stupid
Number
organization.
6 on their list was Phil Kessel 15.
Oh, that was a good one.
Is that the era lost video?
and Euro wasted.
Yeah.
Wasted?
No, he was an excellent
Hold
player.
on. Was
for
that
them.
a rant though?
I thought so.
I thought it was more of an information. Like this is sad.
Isn't the video?
You didn't hit like the rant heights that you normally hit though, right? I'm with that.
No, the thumbnail I'm pretty sure is me biting my hand. Like it's like I
Go back and
can't
watch it. I don't remember it being that spicy.
It was.
It was great, but I don't remember it being like yell.
No, it was APC.
Okay.
It was APC. And what I said in that video was, Penguins fans, you're on the friggin' clock because you got Phil Kessel. Letang's getting up there. It's hilarious because this was 10 years ago. Letang's getting up there. Crosby's getting up there. Malkin's getting up there. You have to win now. And then they rattle off back-to-back cups.
Right.
Let's get to a couple more. This was from Roger Benest. if not the greatest, definitely the funniest. The LFR video of the 92-year-old man from Newfoundland who went to his first NHL/Leafs game in Vancouver, and the Leafs stunk it up. Steve demanded that mlse do right for Pops. It was LFR 16, game 63. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember
vaguely.
that.
Do you remember Do Right for Pops?
I do remember that.
Do right for Pops. I do vaguely remember that. It's I hate that story when it's like, oh, I finally made it, or that poor child with he has a sign that it says, I'm at my first Sharks game, and at the bottom of the sign it says, and it's my birthday. And then the score bug is next to him, and it says 8-0 for the other team.
And I remember when
they lost. They allowed another 2 goals.
When I was in Calgary, the Flames were bad and the Leafs were bad, and I talked so much shit that day at work. I'm like, I'm going to Leaf game tonight. They're gonna kick the Flames ass, blah blah, blah whatever.
Yeah.
And 6-0 Flames. The Leafs were like, why did you even show? Like, just plant the white flag in the middle of the night or in the middle of the ice and leave. They were so fucking bad.
Rock beers on the bench. Matty has something to say.
No, I just wanted to add.
Is it about Tony Hand?
No,
okay.
Unfortunately not. First ever Leafs game was an 8-0 loss against the Bruins.
I know exactly what game you're talking about, and I was going to bring it up, and then I didn't, but now I will.
In 2011?
Yes. So I was a dickhead. So I got invited to a Sabres-Sens game in Ottawa, and I was a dickhead, and I wore a Leafs jersey to that game, and everyone just kept telling me the out-of-town score. Seguin had a hat trick.
Yeah.
And they got pumped 8-0. Well,
I made a Bozak sign and everything. It was devastating.
What'd you do with it?
I said Bozak attack.
No, oh, God.
It was I worked so hard on it.
You throw it in the garbage?
Sad. No, I still kept it.
I hate this stupid team.
Yeah.
I would have done that. Oh, man. This stupid. These guys, man.
This one was from, I'll do a couple more. This one was from the Discord. Again, Dr. God Ninja Coach said,
damn,
I think my favorite rant is his Game 7 one from this past season. It's a culmination of years of results not up to the expected standard, and his expectation that there would be changes this offseason.
And what they do.
Of course, there hasn't been any significant changes yet, so that remains to be seen. The yelly/screamy rants are always entertaining for sure, but I find the ones where he's really reflective more fascinating.
One thing that I know I'm good at is I remember things about this team and the moments that they happened in. Like I pride myself on trying to remember the context of the time. Like, okay, they made this stupid decision. Why did they make it? Mm-hmm. And was the logic, like you can make a bad trade, but was the logic good at the time? If the logic was bad at the time, mm-hmm. and it turned out bad, then yeah, take your lumps. Mm-hmm. Yeah, big bunch.
But sometimes, the logic is there and it just doesn't work out. That's pro sports.
Yeah.
You know? But most of the time with the Leafs, the logic isn't there and it also doesn't work out.
No, I did a chapter on, and I'm not going to spoil it, on the worst trades ever. And it's not just, this trade worked out really bad. It's, no, this trade was really stupid from the moment the idea popped in your head. And here's why.
Last two, Chirps Golden said, my fave Steve rant is definitely when he went off on the Minnesota Wild. Do you remember that? That's not an LFR. That's an SDP one, where you went for like 20 minutes on them being like the worst franchise and destroying the NHL with the amount of bad contracts that they gave out.
And I remember Wild fans tweeting us going, hey, man, what did we do? Like Jesse
it did sort of come out of nowhere.
Jesse and I were flabbergasted. Yeah. We'd never heard even a hint of this. And we'd been doing the show for 6 or 7 years. And then all of a sudden it was like, fuck those guys. They caused the lockout. And it was like, we were all like, what?
No, dude.
Chuck Fletcher, Craig Leopold, all of you.
You went after his family.
It was nuts.
No, like that, man, the 2012 lockout was really hard for me. It was really hard. Yeah. And I had aspirations of moving out of my parents' house. And it just felt like, I had graduated. It felt like I was going backwards. And heading into a lockout where they're like, we have no money. They gave 2 players $196 million. Mm-hmm. And I wanted all involved to fuck themselves.
Aren't they? And they're still paying those contracts.
Good. I'm glad. Fuck you.
Yes, Maddie.
Yeah. And then you know what happened years later?
What?
Adam made their promo video.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. 2023 playoffs? I think it was 2023.
Yeah, it was last
I said
year.
I really liked their system and what they were doing, and they used me in their hype videos.
Yeah.
We made it to the good side of a hype video.
Yeah. Finally.
Not fuck you to their fans or the players.
No,
but
you said
to
and I hate their fans too.
Yeah.
To the
Minnesota
owners?
sucks.
Fuck you, looks good on you.
Last
Set
one.
money on fire, assholes.
Redneck writes, does Smart Insider Man count as a rant? That's an all-timer.
Sure.
Yeah.
That could be man, that's an old
Put it in the pantheon.
Smart Insider Man is when I became a fake insider. Not the MLH stuff. That was different.
No, that was also when you became a fake insider.
Yes.
Just different. And finally, to end the show, we have somebody from the Capitals who works for the Capitals reached out about sending us a case of Capit Ale. So we're working on that.
Yeah.
We can't do a taste test like in front of the camera.
Yes,
but
we
do
can.
it- No, you can't. We can do it off the camera because we do.
So wait, in theory, could we have it right here? I walk over there,
Yeah.
take a sip, and then I come back and I go, yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
or just like bend down under there. Take a sip. But so hopefully we can procure a case of Capit Ale.
Procure.
That's what I tried to say.
Isn't it procure?
Ochre. Matty got
Tony
you
Hand.
laughed. Thank you.
Poker.
Oh, Cardi B.
Yes.
All right. And no regrets on Discord.
I love that.
So to clarify, there are actually two. Capit Ale is an American IPA that has been around for some time, going back to 2019. This is the 50th anniversary special of Golden IPA. So they have to be specific about which one you want. So yeah, apparently there's actually a Capit Ale that's been around for a while. But yes,
cool.
obviously we want the one that has the capitals.
Yes,
on it.
that would be our
Yeah.
preference.
They put a laughing
No,
emoji
no
there.
offense to the other Capit Ale.
Yeah, no offense to the shit Capit Ale. We want the
No.
it's the shit
I
one.
want that one. Don't listen to these clowns. I want that
Maybe
one.
we should get both.
Yes.
And now we got to do a comparison and see who wins.
So Molson sent us the Molson Dry, like Leon Draisaitl.
Yes.
In the spring, which I thought was cool, like a really good little promotion.
They were down 3-0 when I got mine, and I was like, "Oh, I don't think this promo's going as well as they thought."
But I think a
comeback
company
time.
like
And then they came back.
Company like Strongbow is missing out on a perfect marketing opportunity. How has nobody done Leon Dry Cider?
Oh, dry cider. Oh.
I love cider, by the way. I'm a cider like low key. Cider's amazing.
I love
And,
one cider per month.
They're so good.
I get fat.
Or Mo cider, like Moritz cider. Like, how have they not jumped on the NHL bandwagon for that yet? I'm just giving these amazing ideas away for free. Just $1 million check.
We had a whole bit for like a week where we would come up with food names for NHL players. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we did.
We did that.
Remember we had a restaurant idea for Moritz cider. It was like more eat
cider. Yeah, that was a good little, little week.
I think the Colorado Avalanche need to come up with an India Pale Kale.
Oh, hey.
All right, so if anybody can get us a case of the OG Capit Ale, we will do a taste test comparison if we can get our hands on the
imagine-
Capitals Capit Ale.
Imagine
such a
the OG
dumbass.
one's better.
I don't know. We'll find out, hopefully.
I'll have to DM Ted Leonsis and be like, Ted, are you going to stand for this?
India Kale Ale was right there, and I went with India Pale Kale. I suck.
It's okay.
Yeah,
No,
what's
it's
wrong
not.
with you?
It's
Tony
lots of
Hand
it.
would never.
Yeah. He would score. He would score 222 points with both these hands.
More on Tony Hand next week.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.